What's up, guys? Ganzor here. Yeah, you'll notice I'm not in a video game because this is going on my secret channel. Except it's not really a secret because you're watching this right now. But no, this is going on my personal channel, which pretty much just has whatever I want on it. Right now it has like some math help and stuff. By that I mean it has like one video on factoring, and I'm not even sure I did it right, which is super embarrassing, but I think I did, so I'm leaving it up. I don't know. Yeah, whatever. That's up there. But this is going to be a drawing video because, yeah, art is awesome. Um, yeah. So, as you may have been able to tell from the title, I will be showing you how I draw an anime face. And now, a few warnings that I'm just going to throw out there is, first off, this is my style, so this is how I do it. This is by no means how you should do it or how anyone else on the face of the earth does it. But this is how I like to go about it. And also, I am not a professional artist, not yet, anyways. I am just me. So, don't take anything that I say as, like, concrete or anything, because it's not. I'm still learning myself. And yeah, I, I just thought that I know enough as of now to where I can maybe help some other people with some things that they're struggling with. Um, so yeah, I just thought I'd do that. Um, I thought I had one more, but I guess I don't. So let's get started with this. I'm just going to come down here and pick a reddish color. That's what I like working with, either red like this or like a really, really light cyan blue, like over here. Just personal preference, and I see a lot of other people actually on YouTube that like either red or blue. And I'm not sure why. I guess they're just very appeasing? Yeah, appeasing colors that work good for sketching because you can take the transparency down and it doesn't really fog up your image like it does with, I found it does with other colors, especially this green. Like this lime green. I used that for a while and it just, I don't know, something about the way it works doesn't sit with me right. Alright, so we are going to make an anime face the way that I draw it. You can follow along on a piece of paper, or if you're working digitally and you have a mouse or tablet, you can follow along that way. So yeah, let's get to this. What we're going to do is we're going to start out with a circle, right? So let's just, oops. What could have gone wrong? See? I make that mistake every time I start this program. This is Manga Studio 5, and it starts on the blur tool. What I want is the pencil tool, and I'll make another video about this sometime about Manga Studio. Maybe I'll make one about Psy too. But pretty much this is the pencil tool, and right now I have 5, but it's essentially like Photoshop, and you can make your own brushes. The process is quite different from Photoshop, though. Yeah, you have darker pencil, lighter pencil, mechanical, colored, rough. I like the way the rough looks, but for this, I'm not going to be using that this time. I will. Let's see. I'll go with the lighter pencil, I think. I like that. Okay, now to the video. What we're going to do is we're going to make a circle. Pardon my circle drawing abilities, they're not as grand as you would expect. But that doesn't matter because the circle is not really what we're concerned about. What we're concerned about is what comes after the circle. Now the circle is the foundation for the anime face. I'm drawing this in facing forward. No crazy perspective or anything, just to make this simple. The reason that you use a circle is because a sphere is the basic construction for the head. Our craniums are essentially spheres with an elongated bottom, almost an egg-like shape, if you will. So that's why we start with a circle when we're drawing the anime head, or at least when I'm drawing the anime head, right? So you cut the circle in half. That's not really in half. There we go. And cut it in half down the middle as well. This down the middle is your line of symmetry, right? Faces are very symmetrical. They're not perfect, and you can see that if you take an image of someone and view it from one direction, and then you flip it and view it the other direction. You can see the subtle differences that are there. It's actually incredibly interesting. But more or less, heads are symmetrical. Humans are symmetrical, and nature is symmetrical. So we have this line of symmetry that goes down the middle. Now we're going to take this distance here and divide it in half, right? Right there. Pardon my lines, that's another thing I still have to get acquainted with in the digital world. I'm not used to drawing lines on this Wacom tablet. Okay, yes. So we cut this in half this way, and now let's just make a marker and cut it in half this way as well. It's not exactly half, but it will do for our purposes. Just try to make your measurements what I'm explaining, not what I'm drawing, because again, still trying to get used to the digital world. It takes me a little bit longer to draw on the tablet than it actually does in paper and pen. Okay, so we've cut it in half and in half again, so this head is in fourths right here. And that's what you want. But this is not the head. This is a circle. What we need to do now is find the line for the chin. And what I usually like to do is take between these two lines, this middle line and this bottom quartile line, that distance to the bottom of the circle, I like to take that and replicate it. So like this distance here, and I like to flip that, I like to mirror it, and place another mark there, right? And now we are going to place another mark just slightly below the circle, maybe like a third of the way down. And that is going to be where our cheekbones land on this face, right? So let me make my lines here. There we go. Okay. So we're going to take from the edge of this circle, right about where this bottom quarter line sits, and draw down at a very slight angle. It's not quite straight down. That would make for a very broad jawed character, more of a masculine character. But it has this slight taper towards this center line here. And, oops, pardon me again, I'm going to take this and straighten it out because it is not quite as straight as I would have liked it to be for this purpose. There we go. Okay. So we've tapered these in just a little bit, and they meet this line here that we've set for the jaw. I believe I said cheekbones earlier, which is not true. This is for the jaw. Okay, so now we're going to bring them and just connect it straight down here to this line, and following the same angle straight down to this line. You can have an extremely pointy chin, or you can have a rounded chin, a small chin, whatever. That's a style preference. Okay, so now we have this line right here, which started our jawline, but it's also going to be the guideline for our eyes, which is what I like to draw next, right? Okay, so let me zoom in here and It's probably extremely small video. Sorry about that. Alright, so I was watching, oh dear, who was it? I believe it was Psychra. Psychra, yes, on YouTube. And, if you haven't seen any of his videos, they're completely amazing. He's one of the 5 or 6 artists that I follow on YouTube, and I have learned just quite a lot from him. But he was explaining a way of thinking of the eyes in anime, in fine arts, in realism, in anything, is that the eyes are a socket. They're not just a flat plane on top of the face that sits there and has a texture that looks like an eye. They're a hole in the skull where a sphere sits, and that's what composes the eye. So he says that the eye, he thinks of them as they are, as these sockets, and it looks horrifyingly creepy when you draw it at first. But that's just how it goes. And I'm not doing a quaint representation of his theory, so I'll throw a link to that in the description. But anyways, yes, that visualized for me what it is that the eyes are. I should stop rotating the canvas actually, because I doubt you guys enjoy that. Okay, so the eyes. If you're new to anime, you may or may not have heard that there is usually one eye's width between the eyes on an anime character, and that is true. But that again is just a general rule. Nothing in art is set in stone. You can bend the rules, and in fact that's what makes art good, is when you find a different way of achieving something, a different way of representing reality. And that's what art is. So we have the top of the eyes, these are the eyelashes, that sits more or less median with this line here that we've drawn. And then I'm just going to draw some quick, not pupils, some quick irises. I'm not going to really explain how to draw any particular feature in this video. If this gets popular enough, then I'll definitely make more videos explaining these individually. But as for now, that's all you need to know. It's like this. They're these kind of oval-shaped things. Oval-shaped ovals. Alright, now the nose. The nose, see, we used this line for 2 separate purposes. Now we're going to use this line for 2 separate purposes. This line here represented the jaw angular place right here and right here. But it's also going to represent the nose, and I use very, very simplistic noses. Nose? Whatever. I like to just make them as minimal as possible. Even from the side, they'll generally just be a shape sort of like that. I don't spend my time with the nostrils or the bottom of the nose or the shadow or any of that, even though I have more or less realistic anime style. These eyes are probably the most exaggerated portion of my anime. Alright, and the mouth is the last facial feature, if you're not including ears, that I like to draw. And you can just think of it as halfway between the chin and the nose area is where the mouth is going to sit, right? So maybe he's a little unhappy about something. He or she. It's quite genderless at this point. Whoever they are, they're unhappy about something. Alright. Now, I'm going to draw the ears, and the ears are possibly one of the hardest parts of this, because they're just a difficult item to understand. I mean, you're looking at the eyes and the nose and the mouth, and all of these are. Whoops! Don't do that. All of these are essentially along the same plane in space. I mean, if you look at a face, there is kind of like this. You have your nose right here, and your eyes here, and your mouth back here. That's a very crude drawing, but it's curved, but essentially they're on the same plane of existence. Whereas you have these features up here, and then you have the ear that's way back here. So it's very hard to visualize from the front where the ear is in space. And if, as you may probably know, as something moves farther away from you, it appears to be smaller. So if the ears are farther back in space, they're going to be smaller. So if you draw the ears the exact size, they're going to look quite big. Yes. So when you're looking at a face from the side, the ears are they start at the top of the eye, and they come down to the like the point of the nose, really. And this isn't just in anime either. It's apparent in most individuals in real life. Again, real life is crazy, and everyone's different. But that's a general rule of thumb, I guess, for anime. But from the front, it's quite different, because your ear doesn't look like this from the front. At least not entirely. Some people have ears that are farther out. That was not an ear. Sorry about that, I had to scratch my nose. But it doesn't look exactly the same as they do from the side. So I'm probably talking too much, aren't I? I apologize. This is my first art video that I've ever made, and it just so happens that I cannot draw and talk at the same time as well as I thought I could. So that's something I'll have to work on, or else I'll just have to record the video and then talk on top of it, like many other people on YouTube. Okay, so there we go. The ear from the side that I have found, this is just my way of drawing this. It looks sort of like, how would you explain this? It looks, it looks like if you had a heart that was squashed, and you cut it down the middle, and then put one side on this side of the face, and then the other side on the other side of the face. That's sort of what they look like. And I found that this portion down here kind of rounds off sometimes, and then other times it meets directly with the head like this, right? So sometimes it rounds into the head at like a 90-degree angle here, and then other times it just comes straight in like this and then sort of merges with the side of the face. Yeah. Okay, so those are the ears. I'm just gonna draw some quick like that, and like that. I'm not gonna go into detail with the ears this time. Okay, now on to the next, which is, I like to draw the neck next. And on female characters, it generally, I've found this to work, that if you put the neck starting on the inside of the irises, then that usually works out. And if it's a male character, then starting somewhere, because you don't want your male characters to have too thick of necks like that, but if you start it about in the middle of the eye, then that would make a more masculine neck. But again, it's just a general rule. It changes for every single character that you would draw. Okay, on to the hair. This I've decided is going to be a girl because of the neck and the ears and whatnot. So let's give her some eyelashes, make her stand out a little bit. Let's give her. There we go. Okay, so the hair. Should I do the hair? Actually, I'll explain the eyebrows next. The eyebrows, this line here that splits the head, or this original circle, in half, is about where the eyebrows go. And in real life, if you look, the I don't want to say standard of beauty, but common celebrity, I guess, appearance is that the eyebrows begin at the sides of the nostrils on the face and end somewhere before the end of the eye. So I like to carry this into my anime and give them these sort of sharp looking eyebrows. They're very aggressive eyebrows, I believe. Um, and females in anime do tend to have much, much thinner eyebrows than the men in anime. If I were drawing a masculine character, then the eyebrows would probably look something like this, much, much thicker. But for female, thin is the way to go. And again, there's exceptions. I've drawn actually quite a few feminine characters with thicker eyebrows for various purposes. One of them is a very tomboy-esque character. Okay, so there we go. The eyebrows, they're quite outward in anime because anime is about exaggeration. You exaggerate the size and the location of the eyes. You exaggerate the nose, or rather minimalize the nose and the mouth. You exaggerate the sharpness of the angles in the face. You exaggerate the hair and the body proportions and the body language and the colors and the clothes. Anime is about exaggeration. But it's actually about finding the equilibrium between exaggeration and reality that makes it still seem seated in reality in the real world, but it's not like you're watching a movie or reading a book of photographs. Okay, so we can zoom in a little more. The eyebrow, or the folds in the eyelids, I minimalize quite greatly. A lot of artists will do things like this, and they'll even shade in here. Mine are usually just 1, 2 at the most lines that represent the fold in the eyelid. Okay, now onto the hair. That's what this top line here is for. And females have, generally speaking, their hairline is higher up on their forehead than men. I'm not actually sure why that is. But especially when you're drawing, the hairline here is very high when you're drawing feminine characters. Alright. So I like to just block in this hairline here, like such. And then work from there. I'll build the hair off of this. And when you're drawing anime hair, you have to think about how would this hair act in real life? How would it look? How would the light reflect off of it? How would gravity affect it? How all of these different things that you have to take into consideration. But I will just imagine the way that the hair comes out of the scalp and starts to flow along these trajectories. That's the wrong term. But you can just start to imagine the way that the hair would look in real life. And you can start to, craft it based on what it's, how it would react with the real world. Apologize for that pause. I was trying to get those lines to actually be straight. Alright, so I'm gonna give her some sort of crazy, I guess not crazy, but kind of over the top hairstyle, because that's what anime is about. Everything is supposed to be exaggerated. It's supposed to make a point. So I'll give her this hair that's kind of all seems to sprout from this origin at her hairline, which is actually a superimposed hairline. Nobody's hairline is actually in the middle of their head. That's not how it works. Like, mine is over here, like, farther to the side of one of my eyes. You can start to see that when I grow my hair out. It's actually quite annoying because the part there plus, like, wavy hair, it doesn't work. I can't ever do the styles that I want. Alright, and then as part of my personal style, I always put this tuft of hair sticking out of this cowlick here, even for my older characters or more mature characters. I don't really know why I do that. It's just something that I've done ever since I started drawing anime. Yeah. Alright, so we'll bring the neck down a wee bit and draw the trapezius muscles. And I'll cut the drawing off there, maybe give her a shirt of some sort. Yes, and then you can go back in and erase some of your draft lines, like such. There we go. Now we can add some details to her eyes. I'll just make it quick. And draw this pupil like such. There we go. And let me redraw this mouth. See? Putting it over to the side, even though that's not anatomically correct, adds more emphasis to it. Even you just looking at it right now, you may be able to tell that that pops out more than when it was in the direct center. Yes. And some shading down here. And there we go. So that's my impromptu character. Yeah. And the last thing that you add to anime, it's optional, but not really. Not for me anyways. We're going to add some blushies. There we go. I get that from Mark Crilly. He has inducted me into his craft of blushy drawing. So yes, this is my take on drawing an anime character. I apologize for its roughness, but I hope my explanations were sufficient enough to at least help you understand the fundamentals of the way that I draw. anime faces. And again, this is by no means the way or even a way to draw anime faces. This is just how I've come about it in my years of drawing. So, yes, I hope that this has helped you at least a little bit. I will try to leave a link in the description to some other very, very good art channels. Yeah, and thanks for watching. I hope it helped you. And I will be seeing you all in the next video. Bye.